Hi, and welcome back to Point Serve. This is the official podcast of Crosspoint Church in Beckley, West Virginia. It's a place where we do our very best to pour into you. If you want to know more about Crosspoint Church in Beckley, West Virginia, just go to Beckley Crosspoint on Facebook or Beckley Crosspoint on Twitter, Beckley Crosspoint on Instagram, all of the other places. If you just Google Beckley Crosspoint, it will probably take you right where you need to go with us, and we will show up for you. And also, you can go to beckleycrosspoint.org and find everything about us, and we would like to meet you in that process. Again, my name is Vondi. I am the lead pastor here at Crosspoint, and thank you for coming to Point Serve. What is Point Serve? Just a quick moment to explain that to you. It is that podcast that we are seeking to achieve some things with one more podcast. We want to give you practical information. We want to give you some practical steps that you can use as a follower of Jesus Christ, no matter where you are, whether it's in a sacred setting in the life of the church or in a secular setting, as you are leading people and leading your organization to what God would have you do. And we want to help you create an environment where people feel very comfortable about your leadership. And we believe that servant leadership tenets that were modeled by Jesus, but also talked about by a fellow by the name of Greenleaf back in the 1970s, really help us to be the people that we can be and the leaders that we can be. There are 10 things that we are going over in this, and we've already touched on a number of them: listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, growth of people, and building community. But today, we're going to look at conceptualization and what that really means. Today we're going to focus on that, and so let's just dive right into it right now. When you think about a conceptualization, that's basically framing an idea. You help to create a story. All of us know what it's like to see a story and to begin to watch how they frame it and they put it together so that you begin to understand the nuances and the pieces and the places, the people, the players, all of those things that are there. Yet it's in that framing that servant leadership characteristics are all used. But when it comes to conceptualization, what makes it unique? What makes it different than the others? Well, I believe that conceptualization takes that story. It takes what you are approaching, what you're looking at, what you're trying to lead people through, and it points them to a desired outcome. One of the former presidents, I believe it was FDR, he said that leadership is when we begin to take people and help them do things that maybe they don't want to do in order to get somewhere that they really want to get to. And conceptualization helps us do those daily things that will get us to a desired future. To do those daily, day in, day out, in the trenches things that will help us get to a desired future. But without understanding why it's desired, without understanding why going from where we are to that new place is a desired future, that's where conceptualization comes in. That's where, as the servant leader, you begin to explain and walk people through why. Where we are, there may be absolutely nothing wrong with where we are. But where we're headed has to be different. Where we're headed is always different than where we are at that moment. And a servant leader comes along and they begin to tell the story. They begin to frame it in a way that leaders can understand it. They get themselves into the very workings of it and why that is worth working for. Because any change involves work. Any change that you and I are ever involved in, it requires work for us. Something is going to be different. Things are not going to be the same as they were before. And if you've led any time at all, you've already had to begin to transition through different things. You've already had to transition from the way things were to where they are. You see, we as human beings are future creators. That's something I believe that God puts down deep inside of us. And as future creators, seeing that concept, being able to see where we're headed is so essential to help other people come along. Because as a leader, you have to see what's next. You have to see the reason why. You have to understand why it is desired in order to explain that to other people. If you as the leader can't see it, if you as the leader can't walk your way through it, if you as the leader are unable to see the picture and why it needs to happen, you can't bring anybody along with you. But as a servant leader, each and every one of us is tasked with the ability to say, this is the future. This is where we're going. And this is why. I remember when Crosspoint, now going on 12 years ago, decided to relocate a congregation that had been in one spot from 1932 to 2010. From 1932 to 2010, we were on one piece of land in one location in Beckley, West Virginia. And we had outgrown our facility, we'd outgrown our parking, we'd outgrown everything about that building. We had no way to continue to grow in that present spot just because all of the constraints around us. And we had to begin to explain to a group of people who had been there for a long, long time why we needed to move. And it was in conceptualizing where we could go to, what we could do, what God would be able to open up to us, why moving was a desired outcome. Why moving was something that should be sought after, worked for, moved toward, conceptualizing that new process. Today, when you look at Crosspoint Church in Beckley, West Virginia, when you begin to process and see everything that God has done, there is no way the things that we're doing today, even making this podcast, we didn't have a place to do that in that facility. We do in this one. And it's those new things that as you begin to draw the picture and conceptualize the whys, people begin to come along and they get excited about what can be. Because all of us know how things are. And for some of us right now, the way things are is pretty good. For some of us, the way things are right now is not good at all. And that's why we conceptualize a better future. We conceptualize something that will be so much better for us. The options will be greater. The things that we need to do, the places we need to go, the people that we can impact, the way that we can grow our organizations, again, whether it is secular or sacred. The opportunities that will come along, I believe, that are God-given opportunities to us. Unless we are continually watching and shaping and moving and conceptualizing the process, we're not going to be able to get there. We're not going to be able to explain to other people why this change needs to take place. And so as you and I look at our organizations, as we look at our ministries, as we look at our business, as we look at what the possibilities are, the what ifs, the down the roads, what do we really need to begin to put together to help people walk with us? And the other hard part about conceptualization is it's not once you get it, you're finished. The thing about conceptualizing a project, a change, a relocation, whatever it may be, once you make that initial picture, then that picture continues to grow. It's kind of like a young family. When you go to the hospital and a young family has a baby and they get all of the baby pictures and they see all of the exciting things that are happening with that new baby, and the concept of family changes drastically. When they get to the place to where that baby begins to do something that we know is natural, we know it's going to happen, to where that baby begins to grow, well, it begins to change. And if that new family structure, with that brand new baby in the mix of everything now, does not adjust for the journey, things won't go right. I mean, you can't have a 15-year-old still sitting in a car seat in the back of the car, even though that may be good to pin them in depending on what kind of trouble they're getting into. Yet in the midst of that, all of the concepts of the family begins to change and it begins to adjust. We as leaders understand that whatever we're leading, wherever we're going, wherever we're taking that group of people that walks along with us, we as the leader have the opportunity to conceptualize and display for them a rational mode of thinking as to why we need to go from point A to point B. Why it is so important for us to walk through that process. And as a servant leader, we conceptualize not just by writing something, putting together a business plan and saying, here it is. No, we build relationships with that. We talk about that. We instruct about that. We let them know how this type of growth is going to be so good for every step of the way for us. And we get to tell the story. We get to tell the story. Everybody has a story to tell. You have a story. I have a story. On Tuesday, just a couple days ago, we filmed this on the very first Thursday of every month, typically. But 2 days ago, we got to be a part of a story of a lady by the name of Geneva Giles. Geneva is a lady who turned 100 years old. And Geneva is one of those particular people who her mental faculties are still good. She's able to live at home. She has a person who comes in and helps her some, but she's still at home. But the craziest thing happened just a few weeks ago that I really want to tell you about. Geneva's driver's license came up for renewal. And she got up, she got dressed, she put on her makeup, she did everything that she's done for many, many years. She went to the DMV. She still, again, got her faculties. She can see all of that. At 100 years old, she conceptualized for the folks at the DMV that a 100-year-old lady deserved to have her driver's license renewed. And they did it. They renewed her driver's license because she took the need in her life to still be mobile. She can still drive. Now, she doesn't drive as fast as she used to, which that might be a good thing. I'm not sure on that. But she was able to show them the concept in her life and to conceptualize for the folks at the DMV that this lady has everything she needs to operate a motor vehicle. So today, I don't know what change you're looking at. I don't know what project you're beginning to work on and to take the people around you and help them see exactly why you need to get there. But that's what a servant leader does. We draw the picture. We tell the story. We adjust along the way. But that's why we're leaders. That's why we are where we are. And that's why Point Serve does what it does to help you know the value of you in your leadership wherever you are. When you watch this, I hope that you'll like us. I hope you will post this on your Facebook and on your Instagram and other things. Pass this along to your friends. Help us to be able to grow this part of the ministry here at Cross Point Church as we do a lot of amazing things because God's given us the ability to think, to plan, to look to the future, and to tell the story. Have a great rest of the day. Your story's just begun.